guys, so today I'm going to be doing some fall reading recommendations. This has been a video that I've seen kind of floating around BookTube recently, so I thought it was a really good video idea, and I thought it was a good idea to give my own recommendations on them, because I think that it's always good to read one or two books kind of in the theme of fall in October or November. So I'm just going to recommend ones that I find to be quite dark or mysterious or have that kind of like vibe to suit the cold weather. I don't usually a season read, but it's always a good idea to, and I usually do find myself kind of hovering towards fantasy or anything like that, or gothic classic novels. They're always very, very good to read during like October, November and even winter time. So I'm just going to start with my recommendations. The first one that I want to recommend is one that I read a couple of years ago, but it is one of my all-time favorite classics, all-time favorite books. It's amazing. It's Jane Eyre by Charlotte Bronte. Basically, this book follows the main character Jane Eyre, who becomes a governess for Mr. Rochester, who owns this big massive house and everything like that, and she ends up falling in love with him. And that's just basically the premise of it. It's a love story, but it's a gothic novel, so it is quite dark. He's very mysterious and you don't really know what he's thinking. It's kind of like that thing, like you have to kind of work out, like, is there something strange about him? It has that kind of feeling to it. It's actually really, really good, and it follows her like from childhood, and you kind of get to see her growing up. So it's really, really good, and it's very mysterious and very dark. So it's very, very good for all time whenever you're kind of looking for something that's more dark, or like just to get into the feeling of fall and Halloween and things like that. It's not that hard to understand, like it's not that hard of a classic. So even if you're not used to classics, this would be a good time to like try if you're looking for books that fit fall time or autumn time. So it's definitely a good idea to try this one, even if it's your first classic. The next book I want to recommend is one of my favourite YA books ever, and everybody's probably already read it, but I'm just going to recommend it anyway. And that is The Hunger Games by Suzanne Collins. I actually have a horrible edition of this, like it's actually horrible, and my like other two books don't match. But anyway, basically, if you don't know, this book is set in a dystopian time where every year the government hosts these things called, or this event called the Hunger Games, where children have to compete in a competition and they have to fight to the death where one is left standing, and our main character is put into the Hunger Games and we have to see how she survives and everything like that. So it's honestly amazing. Like, I haven't reread it since I first read it, but it absolutely blew me away whenever I first read it. And if you haven't, like, I don't know what you're doing really, because like everybody's read it and it's amazing, like everybody loves it. So it's definitely very, very good for fall time, because it obviously has very dark themes and it is very, very good, very, very fast paced. So you won't be left bored. You can sit down with like a cup of tea and everything in blankets and feel very engaged in the story. It's not one that's going to bore you. So it's really, really good. I would highly recommend reading this at any time in the year, never mind a dark time like autumn. The next book that I'm going to read is honestly one of the darkest books that I've ever read, but one of the most amazing books that I've ever read, and that is Wuthering Heights by Emily Bronte. This is one of the most beautiful books ever. If you don't usually read classics, it's probably not a good idea to read this like as your first one, because it is quite hard to understand, especially at the start. It's kind of like, what is happening? I tried to read this 3 times before I actually knew what was going on, but just kind of like try to push through the start if you're not used to reading them, because the rest of the book is amazing. Basically, it follows this child who's found whenever he's very, very young, called Heathcliff. He's found by a very wealthy family and brought in to live at the manor Wuthering Heights, and he is brought up like that in this house, but some of the members of the house are very, very abusive towards him, and you get to see that as he grows up. But in the house, he's also best friends with Catherine, who is his sister, as he has grown up there, but he's obviously not really related to her, but that's kind of like what she was supposed to be to him. They grew up as like best friends, they never saw each other as brother or sister, and they end up just falling in love really, and it's that story about what she chooses. Does she choose like who she loves, or does she choose money and wealth and everything like that? Because at this time the women didn't really have a choice for who they married. They had to kind of go with their social image as well to kind of judge that. It is a gothic novel, so it does have a lot of dark themes in it. Again, for fall, it is very, very suitable. The imagery is absolutely beautiful. It's set out in the countryside, so you get a lot of nature imagery and everything like that, which is also really, really good for autumn, because the setting in autumn is always really, really pretty and everything like that. So if you are looking for something to suit the dark nights of autumn with your reading, then I would highly recommend this, because it's just something that you won't want to put down and you will never feel bored with. So it's really, really good if you decide to pick this up, because it's amazing. The next book that I'm going to recommend is one that I picked because I'm kind of associating the colours and the themes of this book with the colours of fall, and that is Fahrenheit 451 by Ray Bradbury. This is a modern classic set in the future. It is a dystopian novel, basically, where books are banned and there are firemen set to burn books, and they have to destroy all books ever. It's illegal to have books. There's some books that there's barely any copies left of, and if like people are trying to get them illegally, it's like you can't find them, and it's just this universe, or well, this world where you can't get your hands on books and they are set alight. So I think the theme and the colours that are associated with fire and with the burning of books, it reminds me of autumn, especially my edition. It reminds me of it because of the colours and because of the themes in it. It's, you know, a very dark theme, and it's about reading, and who doesn't want to read like whenever it's cold outside. So it's about reading, so you can like enjoy that as well, and just the thought of the books burning and the fires, like you can think of that imagery and just automatically associated with fall and autumn. So I definitely highly recommend this one, because it is very, very good. Like, it's not one of my favourites in the world, but it is one that I would recommend people reading, because it's just a very interesting premise, like, and something that like you would never really think would come up in like a book or anything like that. But it is a modern classic, so a lot of people know what it is, so it's really, really easy to understand though. Like, it's not written like a classic, like it's very, very easy. So I would recommend that anybody read it. Like, it's not really hard to read, so I recommend this as well for your autumn or fall reading. So that's it for this video. I hope you enjoyed watching. If you did, please like and subscribe. I would really appreciate it. If you've read any of these books or are hoping to read any of these books soon, please let me know. I would love to know your opinion. I'd love to know if you're thinking about reading any of these ones that I've recommended. That would be really cool as well. So just let me know what your thoughts were. I would really like to hear them. Thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you in the next video.